So, hey everyone, I'm back. I'm Chris. I'm a CFO and tax advisor bringing you another amazing professional in the Breaking the Ceiling series. I'm here with Cheryl Parks, and Cheryl is a dynamic sales growth coach who's been working in the corporate for a very long time, almost 30 years of experience in corporate sales. She has helped sales teams to sell more than $25 million. Her clients include Fortune 750 companies like FedEx and Wells Fargo Bank, and she has now turned her expertise to helping small and medium-sized businesses grow their sales team so that they can now reach out to corporate buyers and create those huge contracts in their businesses. So one thing that I really love about Cheryl is the way that she approaches sales, and her sales approach is more about serving than selling. So, Cheryl, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and how did you transform from being the shyest girl in the room to being that sales coach that is sought out by executives in the corporate world?
Sure. Thank you. That was such a beautiful introduction. I really appreciate it. So, to give you the short version of my very long story, when we moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, I was probably kind of shy when I moved across the country at about 14, right? So, high school. And I literally became debilitatingly shy where I wouldn't even ring the bell on the bus to get off the bus. I would just wait for the next person and ride with them and get off with them. And so no one would just pay any attention to me. So probably about mid-20s, I said to myself, you have all these goals and dreams, and I don't think this is going to get you there. Like, I don't think you can hide in the background long term. So I started to kind of march my mindset through a shift. And I started to look at like things like this. So these are some of the things I did. What happens when I get nervous? Is it sweaty palms? Is it shoulders tight? I get a headache. I used to get a knot in my stomach. So when I would feel the knot coming, I would say to myself, "Oh, you're getting ready to like exit stage left." If anyone remembers that. And so I would just tell myself, just stand still, stay focused, and I would change the self-talk in my head so that it wasn't like flight. It was more like, no, just stay here. It's going to be fine. Just listen closely, ask good questions. Those are one of the things that I did. The next thing that I did was I started to act like the person I wanted to be. And this can help you in sales too. So if in fact you are sales frustrated, sales confused, sales resistant, take a look around at people that are selling to you when you say, I really like that. Like I ended up investing in the house that they sold me. I ended up investing in the car. Take some of the traits that you really, really liked from them and incorporate it into your own style, right? So there's a science to sales, but there's an art to sales as well. So I started to look at that and I said to myself, who is it I want to show up as? And I created my own persona so that I could show up as that person. And I started to walk in those shoes. And lo and behold, as you kind of stretch your goals, it gets closer and closer together. So I became less afraid to actually step into the shoes of the person I wanted to be or become. So those were like two of the things that I did that I think were substantial. There are really small things you can do too, like we pick up our phones about 100 to 150 times a day. You can change your screensaver and put affirmations on your phone. So each time you unlock your phone, you're seeing something positive. So your brain gets rewired around that as opposed to, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm not sure what to do. Okay.
That is a
So I'll pause there.
fantastic idea. I would never have thought of that. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a positive reinforcement, right? Every time you look at your phone, ooh,
Yes.
that was a gem right there, right? Okay. So from the shyest girl, why sales?
Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting story. So my father was a Xerox executive when I was growing up, and we had a very nice life. We were pretty much I would say your upper middle class. I was exposed to a lot of things, lots of activities, travel, etc. My mom was a registered nurse. for many years, I thought I chose sales because I thought, well, hey, my dad's doing it. He's making a great living. I like what he gets to do for a living. I'll maybe follow along, not realizing there's a lot of put yourself out there in sales.
Mhm.
But over the years, I've figured out also that my mom's impact was pretty significant because what do healthcare providers do? They triage problems quickly. They have to figure out how to get to the right problem. What does the problem feel like? How long has the problem been going on? What have you tried to solve the problem? Those are the same things you do in sales. Anytime you're calling on someone, we're like, what's the problem? What can I help with? Right? How long has it been going on? What did you already try? What worked? What are you willing to try? Same types of things. So it just recently kind of occurred to me that my mom had a huge impact on my sales ability and the servant leadership style that I come to the table with because it's just really trying to help people solve their problems.
Well, that's really great because it's like it's a perfect blend between what your dad did and what your mom did. So the two most
It
important
is.
people in your life were the positive
Yeah.
influences that got you to being where you are right now. Okay, so
Yes.
as a woman in business, and I know that I'm not the only one, and especially in the field that I'm in,
Hmm.
we abhor sales, and that's the truth, right? We look at sales as being sleazy, and it's not. What one of the things that you were able to do for me is to shift my mindset in the way that I viewed sales when you told me that I need to stop thinking about it as selling, but think about it as serving. So
Yeah.
how do you get someone who is sales resistant to transform their mindset
Mhm.
from the selling part and it's being sleazy to I'm serving someone?
Sure, sure. This is a really good question. So most people don't know that the word sales comes from salar, the Latin word salar. Salar means to help. Somewhere along the line, I see an aha moment. Somewhere along the lines, salespeople had all the information, and it became, oh, you've got to call me to get all the information, whether it be pricing or specifications, etc. So there's been a shift. So if you really haven't liked sales and think that there's something really difficult about it, now is your time because the shift is your buyer can get anything they need in the palm of their hand, on their phone, on their laptop.
Mm.
So they typically are much more, they're much more aware of the opportunities out there, the options, the problems, and really they need more of you to come in and understand their problem so that you can help influence getting them to their best decision. That's what sales is about, is helping your buyer make their best decision, whether that decision includes you or not. So you want to be the trusted advisor to them. You want to be a fiduciary so that they understand that you're really here for them first and you second. And once we understand that shift in energy, it is a whole different conversation because you're trying to be sure that you're right on the mark and getting them an impact and some results, as opposed to, I've got to sell this particular product today by the end of the month, the end of the quarter. So that hopefully will help you shift your thinking a little. When you're out there talking to people, it really is, how can I help? What is it you need? Sometimes they know what they need, sometimes they don't. So it's also understanding what questions to ask to get to the solution.
Oh, I just had another mind-blowing moment right there. I did. It's as if when you think about it, most of the time when we go to a discovery call, we go to the discovery call in the mind frame that I am selling a service, or at least that's how I used to be in the beginning, right? I am selling a service. But if you go to that call with a different mindset that I am not selling a service, I am here to serve you, I am here to help you. And if you allow me to help you, that's awesome. And if you don't, then that's okay. I am not tied to the outcome.
100%.
I like that.
100%. It
I
will
like
take so much pressure and obligation off of your shoulders. And it will also let you know that if it's not a fit, right, from personality style, from what you offer, what they need, it is so empowering to be able to stand up and say, this isn't the best time. I don't have this product available right now. Or I can see that you don't have the appropriate budget right now. And to be able to say to each other, let's reconvene or come up with another custom solution that works for both of us.
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a
Thanks.
little bit about you're a business owner, and as a business owner, sales is I think is like the most fundamental piece of a business because you may have all the knowledge, all the skills, but if you don't have clients, then you do not have a business, right? So
Correct.
how do you get business owners to understand the true importance of sales? Because a lot of business owners think that if I have a good product, then I will sell. Or if I have a good network and my network refers me, I will sell. But unless there is like a sales machine in your business, then your revenue is going to be inconsistent. How do you make them understand?
Yes. So the critical part about understanding that piece of sales is the fuel for your car. So even though we're in an age of, electric cars and all the things for sustainability purposes, there has to be a source of energy. Let's just call it that. Sales is your source of energy. If you don't have energy, things do not go. And it's just that simple. So to take it a step further, it's imperative that you outline timeframes for you to be able to focus on what we call outbound sales, right? Making calls, sending emails, doing follow-ups, etc. If you're not making time for that, then what happens is you end up on this roller coaster ride of like, I made some calls, I got some sales. Now I'm back at the bottom because I'm delivering everything. And so you've got to try to make that, I won't call it roller coaster, but you'll have to make the line not up and down this way, but kind of like in the middle space, right? So it's imperative that we always have a blocked off time for outbound because that will put you in greater control of your destiny. The nice thing is, if we're doing a good job, we're going to get referrals in. People are going to find us on the internet. They're going to see us on YouTube. They're going to see us on all the channels, and they'll reach out. But you don't want to base your business on that because that literally is not being in control. You're going to be waiting for people to find out that you're amazing. And we don't want to wait.
Yeah, it's almost like you'll be rolling the dice and taking a chance. It's almost like playing the lottery and hoping that you win so that you have a fortune. So
Perfect
no more feast to famine. No more feast to famine only comes from doing like constantly setting the time aside to do the things that will bring revenue into your business.
Yes.
I like
Even if you start small, right? So let's say you had 0 time scheduled in the past, give yourself a goal for the week, right? Some people call them key performance indicators, which is, like actually getting to meetings and proposals and closing business. Others call it income producing activities, but give yourself a time frame where you will do exactly that. If it's 1 hour, start there. If it's 4 hours, start there. But give yourself a goal to get to those to get meetings scheduled so you can have sales conversations. And don't let the meeting idea overwhelm you. You just want to have sales conversations. If it's a coffee chat, great. If it's meeting a friend for lunch because maybe they know people they could refer you to, excellent. Someone's changing jobs, that could be a sales conversation. So don't let it be, oh, I've got to be on Zoom or I've got to be, face to face in an office. Don't let those parameters slow you down. It's just sales conversations.
So it's literally, it could be in any form. It doesn't have to be any one thing.
100%.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
That is really great because sometimes looking at it as that one thing adds more pressure and then you start having that sales anxiety, right? Okay. So as a sales coach, right now you coach small business owners to get corporate clients. Let's talk about what prompted you to shift from working in corporate to going out on your own to become a business owner who is now working directly with small businesses.
Okay. The short answer is they divorced me.
Oh, I like that. I like
They
that.
divorced me, and I decided that I was good with the divorce. So
Mm.
I took about a year off, and I said to myself, are you going to go back to corporate, or am I going to launch my own business? I've always tested in all the strength finders and all the personality tests as being highly autonomous. And I knew that because I was an individual contributor. So I started thinking to myself, I did a lot of different things. I learned how to code. God bless the coders out here, but I am not a coder. That is not where my brain is in its zone of genius. So I learned coding. I did some other things. And then I thought to myself, I really would love to work with other coaches, consultants, business owners, startups, and corporate teams to get them to their revenue goals. And I just started looking at what I did to get to my revenue goals and what the teams that I worked with. And I put together a proprietary outline of what it takes to grow sales revenue. And it's called the GSR protocol. And there are lots of science oriented pieces of it. And then there's some art and nuance, kind of smart skills to it as well, especially in today's environment.
Oh,
So that's the
nice.
short answer. They divorced me, but the long answer is I took some time and really decided I wanted to go out on my own.
That's great because sometimes the things that we think that happen to us that are not necessarily good things turn out to be the best things that happen to us because it
Yes.
gives you the time to reflect and now you pivoted and came back with you created something that you did not even think about creating before, right? And now you are
Yes.
there and you're helping other business owners. So as a coach to business owners, what are some of the ways you ensure that your clients come off as trusted advisors when they have those sales conversations?
Yeah. So there's a lot of front end work that goes in regarding like the positioning, right? So how they show up in social media spaces, because corporate buyers and all buyers really going to look to social spaces when they kind of check you out. So you want to make sure you're positioned properly. So I work with them there. The brand sales story really is about what makes you unique. No one else has your brand sales story. How did you get here? What keeps you doing this? Why are you determined to help others be successful? What does that brand story look like? And then from there, we talk about your ideal audience, like what type of target accounts you want to call on, where you think you can make your greatest impact or have made your greatest impact, and where your solution fits. Like what problem does it solve? Because without a problem, there is no sale. Without
I
trust,
see.
there is no sale.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not solving a problem, most people aren't buying things just to put them on the shelf and say, well, maybe in 5 years, you know, you can look to your own behavior. We very rarely buy things that we aren't planning to use
Mm-hmm.
and planning to solve a problem with. So those are the initial stages. From there, the trusted advisor piece has to do with the discovery questions, teaching people how to research a corporate account. I'll give you a nugget. It's really easy to go to their website and just see what it is they do, what's important to them. Their website tells you what they think is important. Most people don't look at the press releases and the media because that's what they're telling the world is important about what they're doing in a current scenario. Um, Little things like always Googling the person you're meeting with. Corporate buyers don't tend to update their corporate profile on LinkedIn as often as business owners do, right? They're busy doing their corporate job.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is they wrote a book, they showed up on a stage, et cetera, and maybe they just didn't plug it into LinkedIn. And if you can walk into a meeting and say, congratulations on your book, I see it launched last month, that's a phenomenal thing, right? That shows that you're actually researching them and understanding who they are, what's important to them, and things like that. So that's kind of the front end. There's a lot more to it, the
Mm-hmm.
front end of it. And then as they are doing outbound, I'm helping with language. I'm helping with um, the question I get most is, what do I say next? They said this. What do I say now? So I'm helping with that language, how to get things to the next step. Those are also pretty serious parts of the process so that you can help navigate the sales cycle with them or their decision-making process that you're helping with. So on our side, it's called a sales cycle. On their side, it's called a decision-making process. So we want to help them make their best decision.
Oh, that is good. It is. So one of the things that you're doing right now is you're pursuing certification in AI consulting. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about the intersection of AI and sales. How does AI make sales better, and how is that beneficial to the people in our audience that we're speaking with right now?
Yeah. So if in fact you have an opportunity to just get in the door and start kind of playing with some of the open AI generative models, I suggest you do. It's very similar to someone who maybe didn't look at any type of social media for years and then having to learn it. It's like getting on the freeway in the
Mhm.
middle of the freeway, okay? Because it's so fast moving. But AI for me personally, not only am I able to generate ideas and check it within AI by asking it questions, it can get to know who you are, what your voice sounds like. It gets to know how do you speak in a friendly tone, authoritative tone? Are you always introducing urgency to the process? You can ask it to tone things up or down. But one of the two areas that I think are most important, I would typically spend 3 to 4 hours on presentations. And now, because of AI and using a few different tools that I'm becoming certified in, because of that, I would say my presentation development is about 45 minutes. It's night and day what it was because I'm able to get to my end of my goal faster. So that's one. Number two, I was in a meeting yesterday where the gentleman simply had his phone recording the meeting. We took a break for lunch. A 4 hour meeting. We took a break for lunch. During that time, he went over, he dropped the recording in AI within minutes. We got a 1.5 page outline of what we had discussed, the key points, the mini narratives off of each key point. And then we were able to eat lunch, which is good, and then come back and operationalize what we had discussed in the morning. In Without AI, we would have both been taking notes somehow. Then we would have had to put our notes together, collaborate, what's important, what's not, make a decision about that. Probably over a course of 2 to 3 weeks, that kind of thing happens. And it
Mhm.
all happened same day, same room, same few hours.
So it
So
basically compressed the time that it would take for you to go from having the conversation to actually the final sale. Okay, and that
100%.
that is pretty amazing because it speeds up how quickly revenue comes into the business, right?
Yes.
So
Collapsing time frames. Yes.
yes. So what would you say to someone in business who struggles with communicating the value of the offer? How would you have them approach that?
That is such a good question. I think that is one of the things that is most difficult. So when you're selling to corporate specifically, and I mean corporate as opposed to SMB market, when you're selling to corporate, you don't always want to go in with an offer because they may call your cohort, they may call it a workshop. They may call your workshop an info session. So when you go in prepackaged, they sometimes can say, oh, we don't need workshops. We did that before, it didn't work. When in fact, they need what's called an info session to them. So, number one, you don't want to go in with preconceived notion. You go in to discover the problem and create a custom solution for them. If you have something that is what we call off the shelf or a core service, you can always provide that. Now, with small, mid-sized business, you can create the framework of your offer, right? So if I'm a sales advisor and sales coach, right, with AI consulting as my foundation, I'm going to go in understanding that that's my zone of genius. So I'm not going to come in and say, I can be a financial planner. So I want to have a sense of how have I created impact? What have I used from my experience? What pillars can I stand on? I know I can stand on relationships, building relationships. I know I can stand on my communication, and I know that I can stand on understanding the process, right? The navigation of the process. Those are the three things, but they're very loose. So now I'm just trying to understand, where does my offering, my zone of genius, connect in with the problem they're having. And that's where you have to be very succinct and very aware when you hear the problem, how it connects in. And typically, just like in relationships, you'll say, oh my gosh, this is such a great fit. And if you're searching and searching and searching, probably means there's not a great fit there. Doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means you haven't uncovered it yet. So it could take, and I say this a lot, don't think everything has to happen in one meeting. I worked with a consultant. She happened to be in engineering. She created a process where it was a 2-meeting discovery. She knew that she needed the opportunity to do the opening and then do the deep dive, and it couldn't all happen in like 1 hour. So she just made her process a 2-meeting discovery, and she took off.
Okay, so for sales leaders who are looking for advice, and in this case, actually, let's not say sales leaders, let's say for business owners who are looking for advice. Say, I'm in business and I'm struggling with sales and I need a sales consultant to come in and help me maybe figure out what direction to go. What would you tell them to look for in a sales consultant to be sure that they're getting someone who's going to provide them value for the investment that they're making?
That's such an excellent question. Well, I always say your process is part of your product. So there are only a few spaces where I actually have to show up as the sales advisor when I'm talking with people about hiring a sales advisor. So my process should look just like the product I provide. If I were to go in and say, maybe my discovery was really poor and I came in and didn't ask many questions, right? You'll want to understand, are they asking you good questions about where you are, where you're trying to go, what you're willing to do, what you've done in the past, things of that nature. So that's number one. You want to understand that discovery piece is important for you. So they should have a handle on that. The second part of it literally is communication, listening to understand and draw out the problems. Can you agree on the problems that they think they heard you say? Are they able to draw that out? Because you're going to have to draw that out. So if they don't know how to draw it out, they probably can't teach you how to draw it out. And because I've been in sales, I lean heavily toward working with people that have actually been in sales. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that someone who hasn't been in sales cannot coach you or cannot consult with you. But because I have been in sales, I do think there is a significant advantage to someone who's made thousands of phone calls, thousands of presentations, and won millions of dollars in business. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that makes a lot of sense. Okay,
yes.
So you went from corporate to being a small business owner. And now, as a small business owner, tell us a little bit about how the shift from corporate to being a small business owner, being the boss, making all the decisions, how did that impact your life?
Oh, okay. So if anyone tells you that entrepreneurship or small business ownership is easy, please run the other way. It is not easy. You're going to have to develop your resilience muscle and broaden your shoulders. You're going to have to thicken your skin up, and you're likely going to have to create disciplines that you've never had in your life. So I'm not saying it's impossible. What I'm saying is the rewards are plentiful because you're impacting people's lives, you're impacting people's careers. At the end of the day, it is a path that is winding. It is sometimes you're not sure about whether you're going in the right direction. You're going to have to be able to communicate your needs and communicate what you want. You'll have to make some hard decisions about, I'm not this isn't the right path. I'm going a different direction. And you're gonna have to give yourself grace. And that's a lot to do. It's like being a student and a leader in the
Mhm.
same moment all the time, right?
Okay,
Making
that is
hard
a
decisions.
that's a really great description for it. And the giving yourself grace part, I think that's really important because we, as business owners and women especially, we have this thing that we think that we're supposed to be perfect, right? We're supposed to be able to do
Yes.
all the things and we're supposed to be able to do all of them at 100% capacity. No, there's no
Yes.
room for error. So we're carrying like this business and personal life and kids and family and everything, and we want to be able to do all these things, wear all these hats and work perfectly. And so we don't give ourselves grace, as in, hey, you're human. And one
Yes.
human at that, right? So the
Yes.
capacity to do all these things, someone is you're gonna drop a ball somewhere. And we have to be able to give ourselves grace to do that. So for me, what I've found is that me having family, having a kid, having to take care of my mom, having to take care of the business for a very long time, I gave everything to everyone and I didn't give anything to myself. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So you'll have to make time. So as I mentioned, like when you're structuring for outbound calls, I also structure, okay, so this is something I don't hear people talking a lot about, but I pretty much plan my energy and I don't plan my day. And so my day ends up being planned based on my energy. So I know for sure when I need to show up on calls like this one or calls I need to lead, I want to be in higher energy. So I wouldn't probably plan this for the tail end of my day. I'm not a morning person. I probably wouldn't plan it for the morning, but I start to structure my week based on my energy levels and knowing how much I have to pour in on any given call. We've all been on calls where you can keep your camera off. We've been on calls where the camera's on, but I'm just listening, right? So there's different levels of energy. And when you start stacking up calls that require your energy to be high all day long or back to back to back, and then you've got Tuesdays stacked and Wednesdays quiet, why not move a couple of those calls to Wednesday so that you can give yourself some breather? And then take some time when you go to calls where your energy has to be high, take some time, take a walk, get some sunshine, listen to some music, do some things where you can, whether you're working or not, you can just take a breath so that you can refresh. And some of that comes from, I'm kind of an ambivert, so some of it comes from the introvert extrovert piece, but some of it comes from just human, right? Like you just said, like we're just one human being that can't just be depleted every day.
Okay, so
So,
that was
yeah,
truly a mind blown moment for me because I never thought about it that way. Energy instead
yeah,
of day, because your energy controls how your day flows. Ooh, that's
yes,
a good one. That
yeah,
is a
yes.
good one. Okay, so if you were to give our audience three tips that they could implement in their businesses right now that would move the needle for them sales wise, what would it be?
Okay, so I'm going to categorize them.
Mhm.
Number one, there are a couple, I'll give you a couple of non sales activities that
Mhm.
can help with lower your sales frustration. So, in this category, stop ghosting people that are selling to you. Because if you're ghosting them and then you expect others to respond to you, the universe is watching. So when call the person back and just tell them now's not my time, I'll be in touch, or this isn't a good fit. Okay. So the second in that category, second piece in that category is literally um, don't talk junk about your clients or your prospects. You know how we think people get frustrated and they're saying things and doing things and they're talking with coworkers or family members or whatever the case may be. I have a zero tolerance for that because it shows up, right? It shows up in your demeanor, etc. If the client's not a good fit or the buyer's not a good fit, have the hard conversation and step away. Okay.
Mhm.
So those are a couple just non-sales activities. The last piece in that category is take a look around at who you really appreciated selling something to you, your realtor, your financial planner, whoever that is, and pick up on some of the things that they do that you really liked and incorporate that into what you do. Because you'll notice the salespeople we love to hate are not the ones that get the invitation to the birthday party or the barbecue or the baby shower.
Mhm.
The salespeople that we love to love become our friends. Okay,
That's true.
so that's
That's true.
category number one. The
Mhm.
second piece is a more sales revenue generating activity, which is make time to pour into your engine. Your company will do much better if you build some boundaries and pour into that engine so that the source of energy you need will run the business, as opposed to, and I'm going to say this because I know a lot of us out here, as opposed to this juggling thing, trying to figure out how to move this over here so that I can get a little more traction. Focus on sales and it will come. There's a saying in corporate sales, pipeline solves everything. It works for business owners too. And then, so you've got the science, the art and science of sales, getting the revenue and the income producing activities going. You've got the non-sales activities that can let you have a little more fun with this, okay? And then you've got the last piece of it, which I will have to say has everything to do with your energy. Sales is about as much the transfer of energy as anything. If you believe, someone said to me last week, there's a difference between commitment and belief. And I believe that.
Mhm.
If you believe in what you're doing, you share that and you show that. If you're committed to what you're doing, you might want to take a look and see where can I increase my level of belief around what I'm providing, right? Because it has to come from here and your buyer will see that. So get really clear about what you believe that you provide, the impact you provide, and not so much what you do or how you do it, but the
Mhm.
impact of what you're doing. Those would be my top three.
Oh, wow. Um, that was a lot, and it was so on point, and it is so valuable because we struggle. I am always honest. In the beginning, I did. I am so in love with what I do right now that it is easy for me to sell. It's not even selling, it's serving because I love what I
Yes.
do. It is easy for me to speak with people about it. But in the beginning, you know, because you were there, in the beginning,
Yes.
it was a struggle, right? So
Yes.
being able to have that information, to have those tips to help you, it's like something that I wish that I had way back when before I found you guys, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yes.
could have helped me a lot. Even those, I'm having those tips could have helped me a lot. So thank you so
Yes.
much for sharing that with us. And thank you so much for
Yes.
taking the time to hang out with me
Ah,
and answer all these questions and share your information with all these people. So
absolutely.
tell us a little bit about what your free gift is going to be, and then how can they find you? So if after listening to this amazing interview, you're like, "Ooh, I need Cheryl," how can they
Yeah.
find you?
Okay. So you can find me on all the social media platforms: LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. The only one I'm not on is Twitter. But you can find me on all of those platforms as at the Sales Growth Coach. And I'm pretty much a go giver. So my freebie is if you need support with positioning, which is probably the most critical piece of your business,
Mhm.
30 minutes with me, zero pressure. I'm really good at listening to who you are, what you do, how you've done it. And I will give you a one pager on what it looks like in terms of your positioning for your business. If you're already in business and you feel like, I just want to get a refresh, or I want to get stirred up, or I'm thinking about making a pivot, all of those things apply. So you don't have to be fresh. You could be coming in to do something a little bit different.
Mhm. Okay, so thank you so much for that because we all know that time is super valuable. It is really easy to just say, I'm going to give a PDF or something, but to be able to donate your time towards like
Yes.
spending with people, that is something that is super valuable, and we're grateful for that. And so we
Yes.
will insert a link to your calendar in the video so that when our audience watches the video, they have your link right there so that they can use it. And again, I am
Excellent.
so thankful for you taking the time to be here. I thoroughly
Thank
enjoyed
you.
this conversation,
Me
and
too.
I look forward to us having many more conversations like this in the future.
Yes, I appreciate you too, Christiane. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I will talk to you soon.
Yes, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Get out there and go sell.